expected to cause catastrophic storm surge, wind, and flooding in the Florida Peninsula starting later today. Winds right now are 155 miles per hour. This is as serious as it gets.
When we think of a hurricane, we think of the intense wind speeds it creates. Wind does cause a lot of damage. In many cases, it doesn't take near the force to topple a tree onto your house as it does to damage your house from the winds alone. By evaluating the trees you may encounter, you can help prevent damage to your personal property, help save lives, and protect your friends and family. This video will show you some of the main defects to look out for when evaluating trees surrounding your property. The first thing I like to do is identify the species, because different species have different growing habits and different species profiles. Essentially, the trees have different tendencies. This species is a laurel oak. They're very common throughout the southeastern United States. They grow to a very large size. This species is also notorious for having root problems that eventually can lead to the tree uprooting and falling over. There are many aspects to evaluate when evaluating trees close to your property, and while I can't cover all the aspects on every single species, I intend to show you some of the biggest clues that could mean you need to do something immediately. This is Magnolia Grandiflora. As you can see, it has a codominant stem where there's two sides that are equal size. During a hurricane, this tree has a higher likelihood of failure than a nice straight trunk magnolia would. As you can see, this tree right here has a fat trunk and smaller diameter lateral branches, not vertical stems. This tree is very strong, low likelihood of failure in a high wind situation. As you can see, some trees did fall during Hurricane Ian. The species of this tree is a red maple, and there might even be some indications as to why a tree like this red maple would have failed. Let's take a look at it right here. Very large diameter tree, hollow cavity, and that hollow cavity was evidenced by the fruiting body of decay, also known as fungi. That is a very large fungal conch. And you can see the evidence of decay right here. So a tree like this, while it was pretty good at standing up in normal weather conditions, as soon as a hurricane force wind hits it, it fails. And that is not true with every tree in this area. Even some trees that do have evidence of decay still withstood the winds of a hurricane. And when fruiting bodies of decay are evident, that means that it's thriving inside of this. This is like the flower. This is the actual organism. And what is going on here, this used to be a piece of wood, but fungi eat the lignin or permanently alter it, turning this piece of wood into more like a sponge, which I thought might be kind of interesting for you to see. But pretty much turn the wood into paper mache. You're going to get a lot of limbs like this and limbs like this. This is about the conditions to expect during a tropical storm wind. Lots of leaves and small limbs on the ground. And trees that have known defects, they're also gonna be failed. There's my screwdriver.
Gone.
What's the root ball gone? Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to beat it up. Probably almost need to bring the caterpillar.
Multi-stem trees are notorious for failing. It's best you try to isolate it down to a single stem. But we don't just cut all willy-nilly. It's important you make proper pruning cuts. This is a peel that was done when pruned there on that very large cut. And this right here is a non-proper angle. Those will take longer to compartmentalize, essentially creating wounds that cannot be healed over, and then leading to decay. Like this tree looks pretty healthy, but if you look, it had a major limb failure. Now the question is, why would a limb like this fail? We don't see the presence of included bark down here. What I would note is that this long limb was very long. And the longer a limb, the more leverage it creates, especially in a high wind situation like a hurricane. Those long limbs, if there's a significant target below it, like a house or something in here, I would suggest doing a reduction pruning cuts on it. Reduction pruning lightens the limb, shortens the length of the limb, and will essentially take stress off of not only the attachment but in the central stem. Now sometimes it can be hard to identify tree problems, but I'm just trying to give you a heads up on some of the things you can look for to protect your house or your family, your loved ones during things like a hurricane. On this tree, you'll notice that there's a limb that originates right here and it extends higher than the actual top of the tree. A limb like that is overly long and could benefit from some reduction pruning. Being born into this industry and eventually becoming a certified arborist with over 20 years experience, I found it was a necessity for me to share my knowledge with people. If I could save one person or even just one tree, that means this video and my time was worth it. And I intend to make a lot more videos educating people about proper pruning practices and a bunch of things that could take the common folk and turn them into the experts. If you see value in that, well, you already know what to do. We'll see you in the next. So the question is, for 100 points, what kind of tree species are we looking at here?
An umbrella tree? Kind of like a, like an umbrella.
I'm losing all hope. You were the one that I hoped might actually know it.
You've never even said this.